Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to this replay in the AMX M445 Tier 7 French heavy tank. Now you may have noticed that comparatively recently I released a review of this tank and I wasn't enormously impressed with it, but I still have a bit of the grind left to go. So there'll certainly be this replay, clearly, and there may be one or two others as well come onto the channel from this machine before I get through the damn thing. So we are on a standard battle on El Halouf. This map is actually getting changed next patch, i.e. in patch 9.2. It's getting a serious workover, especially in the top left corner up by a sort of A2, B2, you know, that sort of region, typically heavy tank territory, which is where we're actually going to go in this game. Now, on the one hand, the AMX does not have good alpha damage, does not have amazing DPM, and certainly doesn't have particularly good armour. So you could argue that it really shouldn't be the sort of tank that goes down into this traditionally heavy tank spot, which can be a very linear fight. Having said that, looking at our team composition, with the exception of the IS, there isn't really anybody packing any more armour than I am. So, you know, it's very difficult to start saying, well, I shouldn't be going down here, but well, who else is going to do it? And as it turns out, well, certainly at the moment, our IS doesn't appear to have any interest in coming down here at all. Instead, he seems far more interested with sniping the enemy team with his super accurate Russian guns. So instead, this corner appears to be left to myself and this Tiger, neither of whom are particularly overcome with vast swathes of armour. But nonetheless, you know, we at least have a health pool, in particular the Tiger, so we are going to do the fight on the corner. Now, the one thing I do have going for me compared to the Tiger on this corner is that I do have the better gun depression. So I stand a better chance of being able to use my gun effectively, and if the Tiger's just going to stay down there, he's going to get shot by tanks with better gun depression, that T-29 for example, and he's probably not going to have a particularly good time. Now, one thing you want to do, I want to make sure you do, is try and hug this rock to your right hand side, certainly on the map as it stands at the moment. Because then you are... Ooh, and we kill that KV-1S. Then you should be safe from the enemy artillery, certainly in the early game. Now, as the game develops, if the enemy team's artillery players are halfway competent, then they will move around the map somewhat. But even so, unless there's some radical moving going on and some serious change of territory, this position should pretty much always be artillery safe for you. In order to hit this position, you would have to have someone really travel across the map and go to somewhere in the vicinity of the southern spawn from the northern spawn. And that's kind of unlikely. T-29 takes his shot, but I try and get a shot in there to go through his front axle and track him in place, but unfortunately I'm not able to do it, and the shot bounces off his upper front plate instead. But the T-29 manages to get himself tracked there, and so I am just going to let our guys work him over, put a shot into him. He's now on 17 health, and that was a bad move from him. He should not have exposed his side armour like that. And what I'm actually doing here is trying to get myself off the rocks to the right hand side. He actually gets taken out by one of the tank destroyers that's watching our back. So yeah, if you're the enemy team, so if you're spawning from the northern spawn, do be very careful about showing your side armour around that corner, because it's not uncommon for there to be tank destroyers sitting up at D1, as we've got, giving the guys who are in the position that I'm in at the moment some fire support, so do be very careful. Tiger has come and moved up to support me, but he needs to be careful. He's only got 500 odd health left. He doesn't exactly have particularly good armour. Sneak a shot through there to get a cheap kill on the T-34. And he's not as artillery safe as I am because he's further out from that rock. So it's more likely that artillery will be able to hit him. Now we've got this SU-100Y and KV-13. We need to be careful of those because they can put some very big damaging shots into me. In particular the SU-100Y. That thing gets a 130mm gun at tier 6, which is frigging ridiculous, but never mind, especially on a premium tank. Nonetheless, we come around here and I'm trying not to get shot by the KV-3. Because, as I've said before, the armour on this tank is woeful. So we're currently winning 8-7. There is a heavy tank coming up behind us though. It's an IS, which is worrying me. So I'm leaving the Tiger up there to hopefully not do anything stupid. And I'm going to come down here and try and protect our backside. As it turns out, I needn't have particularly worried about it, because our tank destroyers are not having any of this flanking rubbish. They have got our backs. So can I have a big shout out please for the SU-100Y, the PZSFL-5, and the medium tank. What medium tank is that? The Cromwell, who were providing supporting fire from the ridge behind us and really did have our backs throughout that entire engagement. Big shout out to those guys. They were a great help. I really can't praise them enough. In particular the 2 tank destroyers, but the Cromwell as well. So I have that shot to try and avoid taking the SU-100Y's shell to the face, but unfortunately I'm not able to pull back in time. But my shot lands and damages when it wasn't fully aimed, and I can't really begrudge him getting the damage in as well. Now that Cromwell unfortunately was a bit too aggressive up on this ridge and got taken out, and in the interim it looks like our Tiger 1 has taken some damage, but the KV-3 is also not looking particularly healthy. So I start trudging up this hill again. The KV-3 takes out our Tiger. But I can take a shot from the KV-3, put a shot back into him in return, and providing he doesn't manage to find cover, I should be able to reload before he does. So there's one shot into him, he gets a shot into me, and our PZSFL-5 finishes the guy off. Now, I'm only on 367 health, which means the T-150 can one-shot me. The SU-152 can certainly one-shot me regardless of what gun he's packing. And the Tiger 1 cannot one-shot me. It would take him 2 shots. Sorry for the slight pause there, I was just working out if it was possible for the alpha damage on the Tiger to kill me. And it's not. If you're not sure how I was working that out, the bracket of damage that you can have is your average damage, so in my case, for example, 240, plus or minus 25%. So the highest damage roll from a Tiger is 240 plus a quarter of 240. A quarter of 240 is 60, 240 plus 60 is 300. So the most damage you can ever have from the Tiger's long 88mm gun, assuming he has the top gun, is 300. Conversely, the minimum is 240 minus 60, 180. So that should give you an idea of what the high and low damage rolls are. And it's the same deal for penetration, by the way, in case you weren't aware. So if you've got penetration of 200, random number generator comes into things. You can roll on a particular shot for a penetration as low as 150 and as high as 250. Your average value, plus or minus 25%. Of course, penetration depends upon range as well. So, we've just lost our Chaffee, who, shout out to the Chaffee, he did a sterling job. You'll see in the post-battle results screen, he does really, really well. And this is actually quite nice matchmaking for a Chaffee. But there's a Tiger 1 and an SU-152 remaining. Now, I know the Tiger is somewhere in this vicinity, and the SU-152, I don't know exactly where he is, but I suspect, I would have suspected he's somewhere up around B6. But I don't actually know where the guy is, but he's on 4 kills. So we really need to give that guy some respect. And there's the rear of the Tiger. So try and let my gun aim and bounce on his rear. Oh, for goodness sake. And that's this gun for you. It really does frustrate me sometimes. But there's a nice big 500 damage into him. I think that was from the PZSFL. He gets a big old gun, 128mm if I remember. And that will be the top gun with that sort of damage roll. Tiger comes screaming around the corner, and I take him out. So now it's myself, the PZSFL, and this full health tier 6 VK versus an, oh dear, almost full health SU-152. Now, he puts a shot for 400 odd damage into the VK. Now, he could be using any old gun, but the fact that he rolled for 400 odd makes me think he's using one of the 122mm that have an average damage of 390, and that's confirmed as the guy comes around the corner. If it was the howitzer, it would be a bit of a coincidence if he rolled for about 400. Now, I take his track off as he comes around the corner. He doesn't have the gun depression to put an effective shot into me, because I am a one-shot for him, and he fails to put another shot into the VK as well. I got some damage into him, and he's just backing off. He doesn't really... he has to play... He has to be careful. The SU-152, whilst it's not too slow, it's also not particularly quick. Now, I've got gun depression, but I'm cautious about going up here. And I'm telling the VK to flank around. He's a medium. Dude, go around the sides. Attack him from another direction. We pincer this guy. Okay. VK doesn't really seem interested in doing so, so I'm going to do it. I'm not in a medium tank or a light tank, I'm in a heavy tank, but, you know, I'm not too slow as far as heavy tanks go. And I have respectable grunt in the engine. Now, I don't know if this VK driver speaks English, but I'm hoping he got from that to, you know, sit still, sit where he is, not just go up, and I'm telling him to wait. Don't do anything stupid, don't get yourself killed. We need to come at this guy, or we want to come at this guy from 2 different directions. That gives us the best chance of taking him out. As then, I mean, he could potentially kill either of us with 1 shot, but that still leaves the other one to hopefully flank him, pummel him, and with any luck, win the game. And of course, we've also got this PZ-SFL, but he isn't really in a position at the moment to support. He's trying to mount the ridge, and there's the SU, but the PZ-SFL has a pretty weedy engine. So, SU-152 is spotted. Now, he might have a line of fire in the direction of the VK, but I don't think he's got an actual shot on the VK. And while he's hopefully distracted, I come around to try and deal with him, but he appears to have turned around to deal with me. This is a problem because, as I said, I am a one-shot, but you're going to see one of the limitations of a non-turreted machine. As he comes around a corner, he has to almost pause to turn to bring his gun to bear. He can't just turn his turret. And now he's looking at me. The VK is coming up behind him. He puts 1 shot into him, and I finish the SU off. And there we go, a nice little bit of teamwork at the end to take out that SU without either of us taking any more damage, which was pretty satisfying. It's always nice to see that. So I ended up with 4 kills. I got the 2nd highest XP score on the game. The Chaffee came top. Chaffee, as I say, did really, really well. And that was my 1st class mastery as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that game. If you did, please feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.